Full moon in Capricorn, Jupiter enters Leo, Mercury retrogrades in Cancer, all on the same day. So it's a big shift that you can just kind of prepare for. Welcome back. My name is Lightworker Whit, and I'm so excited to get into your full moon reading in Capricorn. All right, so this will be bringing culminations and closures and endings to anything you might have initiated around earlier this year, January 18th. I sometimes like to do spreads. I haven't done it in a while. I just prefer to do a little bit shorter full moon readings lately. So we're not going to use the spread I like to use from Biddy Tarot. We're going to use a simple spread where for this reading for your full moon, we're going to look into what's ending, obstacle to work through, and overall theme of the full moon. Okay. And I think for overall theme, I'm going to use the Oracle card. So we're going to do 2 tarot, 1 Oracle. I'll clarify as needed. Okay. So just to talk a little bit about Capricorn, obviously Capricorn is a very ambitious sign. They like to get things done, very hardworking. So this is going to be a really good time for you to get anything done goal-wise, right? Anything that you want to do, especially professionally or business-wise, that's going to be a great time to do that. But you also want to pay attention to where Capricorn is in your birth chart. For me, it's in my 12th house. So this full moon is going to be illuminating the subconscious, fears, dreams, anxieties, stuff like that. But I think it's interesting for myself because I feel with having Capricorn in the 12th house, it kind of gives me a little bit of like execution power to my dreams and goals. You know what I mean? That's me though. So look at where Capricorn is in your birth chart, and that is likely going to be the house that will be most affected. Okay. I wanted to talk about a few other things. We've got a lot of things that are happening under this full moon because Mars is entering Gemini. Okay, so the planet of action and war. It has been in Taurus. Taurus don't want to do nothing but chill. So if you felt like things have been like a little bit slow moving, or maybe you haven't been that energized lately, that could have a lot to do with Mars and Taurus. Now, with it being in Gemini, which is happening literally on the 28th, the day before the full moon, you're going to start feeling like you want to put a little bit more effort and energy into learning, gathering information, you know, that kind of thing. Like you're like really, really excited to learn and do more in that way, pursue knowledge, if you will. Now, that's one influence that's happening. Then also, Jupiter finally moves into Leo, and Jupiter has been in Cancer for the past year, okay? So Jupiter is moving into Leo, so you want to look at where Leo is in your chart as well, because that house is going to be illuminated, and you can expect to receive some good luck and good energy coming to that house. For me, it's going into my 7th house, so I'm very excited to see what happens in my relationships and partnerships. And lastly, Mercury is entering retrograde in Cancer. Okay, so all that is happening on the same. We got full moon in Capricorn, Jupiter enters Leo, Mercury retrogrades in Cancer, all on the same day. So it's a big shift that you can just kind of prepare for. Okay, so if you're feeling very emotional, because your communication will likely be quite emotional with the Mercury retrograding in Cancer, that's a big reason why. But also feeling like, okay, you're experiencing maybe some endings around some things, that's going to be that full moon energy. And then at the same time, you may start to get a little action or traction, whichever house Jupiter's entering in Leo. Now, granted, Jupiter's going to be there for a year, so there's plenty of time for Jupiter to get to work, so to speak. But I just want you to be aware of that transit. So really, really big transit, guys. So I'm excited to get into these readings. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so let's go ahead and start with Aries. What is closing for you? What's coming to an end for you, Aries? Okay. And what obstacle do you need to work through this full moon, Aries? Very interesting. And then let's go ahead and get your overall theme of this full moon. Overall theme of full moon in Capricorn for Aries, please. Overall theme. Yeah. Okay, here we go. If you haven't already, Aries, check out my monthly forecast for the month of June. They are available to the public, but I do release them to my subscribers first. So I've already recorded your reading for July. But I got to do the rest of the 12 signs. So go back and watch June, because I think that will help add a little context to the reading that we're about to do now. What you're releasing, we have the Ace of Pentacles, okay? The Ace of Pentacles is about new opportunities and new beginnings, or something that is a new offer that has the ability to take root. So it is something that has the ability to grow. This is usually monetary, but it can be related to relationships that has the ability to grow, okay? Opportunities that have the opportunity, opportunities that come to you that can grow. Sometimes I do, like, depending on what other cards I have around me, I could interpret as a new seed being planted in terms of like conception. Is that the right word? Conception. Conceive, if you're trying to conceive for family planning. But, you know, I most of y'all, maybe not all of you guys are trying to family plan, but could be. Now, this is, again, what's coming to an end. So we'll get back to this. And then also what you have here for obstacle to overcome, we've got the Fool. All right. The Fool is about a fresh start, a new beginning. Now, I do look at the Fool a couple different ways depending on what deck I'm using. In this particular deck, I do look at it as travel and a fresh start, and maybe even moving. Usually I connect it to travel simply because of the imagery of the card. Sorry, I think something's like in my eye. I can feel it. A little eye crust. Okay, anyway. Sorry, Aries. I don't know why, but I feel like this is connected to you moving out. That's just kind of what I feel and what I sense. I feel like you're moving out. Let me know if that's tracking with you, but that is just what's coming to mind. And then lastly, your overall theme of this full moon in Capricorn is will. This is about willpower. We are going to read this oracle message, but that does help me inform this reading. So in terms of what is ending for you, Aries, this could be a number of things. This could be that you're no longer chasing a new opportunity. You're no longer chasing maybe a new job, a new offer, potentially no longer chasing a new relationship. But it could simply be that you're moving out of the idea phase, or the you're moving out of, you might have made the decision whether or not to take this offer, right? And maybe this is something that has kind of been in the works for the past 6 months. That would, I mean, it's possible depending on what it is, but yeah, something about housing seems important to me. I don't know if you've had like a house for sale and you've been like waiting to get an offer on a house. I don't know if I recently learned last year, for whatever reason, was in communication with different people who were trying to get government jobs. I had no idea that the government could literally give you an offer for a job, but then also tell you, yeah, we don't have a start date. Like, I met 2 different people last year who were under those circumstances. Yeah, we want to give you the job, we just don't know when you'll start. And so you're kind of just like in limbo until they tell you, okay, start X date. I'm like, that's wild. How can you plan a life like that? Crazy. So you might be under circumstances like that where you've been waiting for an offer to be finalized, waiting for something to be concrete or you know, maybe a contract being finalized. It could be a lot of that energy. I want to see. I'm looking for a certain deck and it's a little too far. I don't want to get up. I miss having all my decks behind me, but it's okay. I try to work with the ones I bring over here. I do want to clarify this. I do want to clarify it, but how I just trying to decide what deck I want to use. I don't want to use the Kipper deck. We're gonna use Light Seers to clarify. Aries. Clarify what opportunity is coming to an end. It could be maybe this isn't something that was in the works for the past 6 weeks, but maybe something that's been in discussion the past 2 weeks since the new moon. It could be that an offer is being rescinded somehow. Let's see. Clarify, please, the Ace of Pentacles for Aries as far as what's coming to an end. You have to be fucking kidding me. Baby, the Ace of Pentacles again. Because when the tarot speaks, the tarot speaks. All right, we do have the Lovers. Now, it fell out, so it's hard to determine whether or not this was reversed or not, the Lovers. The Lovers is connected to Gemini, okay? But this does confirm for me that this is either in association with either a partnership, platonic, business, romantic, or you... I do say sometimes that the Lovers can represent your higher self, but in this reading, I don't think it applies. Because this is an offer. This is about an offer or a new opportunity being presented to you. What I feel by someone else. I wonder if some of you Aries are making the decision to move in with people. Let's look at that Fool. Let's look at the Fool and clarify there. That obstacle to overcome for Aries, please. Okay, Two of Wands and maybe something else. Yeah, planning. There's something here about maybe travel. And maybe you've been debating traveling, because if you see with the Two of Wands here, she's got her map, she's got her globe, she's looking out. Where do I want to go? What place kind of lights me up? There's a desire to travel, but also for me, I'm interpreting that as a desire to move on. But this seems to be an obstacle for some reason, because maybe you'll have to leave some things behind if you do that. I wonder if you're taking an opportunity that makes you relocate, makes you have to move on. Anything else around this offer? What's coming to an end for Aries, please? Spirit, what's coming to an end? What offer? Clarify the Ace of Pentacles for Aries. Clarify that Ace of Pentacles for Aries, please. Okay, Eight of something, guys. Something around travel. Aries, drop in the comments below where you're going, because clearly you're traveling. The Eight of Wands is about quick action and speed and things moving fast. But it also is related to travel. Guys, I think there's some sort of offer that is requiring you to move or travel this full moon. And maybe you're going with your partner. Maybe you're moving because of your partner has an opportunity. Something like that seems to be very prevalent here. My hope and desire is that whatever offer you're finally receiving potentially under this full moon, I hope that it's something that you've been working towards for a very long time. So again, you know, I started this reading saying whatever would have been initiated at that new moon back in January, you might have been working towards this for a long time, maybe taking courses to be qualified to apply for certain jobs, maybe trying to build a portfolio, maybe trying to improve your networking and get those relationships to receive this offer. Something is kind of coming to culmination, Aries. A new offer is coming in, or you're closing a deal you've been working on for a very long time. That's how I'm seeing it. And it is surrounding travel for you in some way. In some way, you're going to be taking a trip, okay? Whether that's permanent or temporary, unsure. Everybody's life is different, okay? All right, let's look at this oracle message, Will 13. All right. Decisions require action. You are in control of your own decisions in life, no one else's. Passion and will determine a great portion of your success. You will persist. You possess free will, which means you should focus on yourself first and avoid placing your will over another's. Okay, here's the message. Oh, here's the affirmation. I have the will to make the changes I need. If that's resonating with you, drop it in the comments below. Will feels like a very old-fashioned concept. In a modern world where it seems like everything is geared up to be easy as possible, or there is always someone else to blame, the idea of placing our personal will persistently into something seems quaint. When we decide we are going to change something in our lives, let's say particularly negative pattern or bad habit, breaking the old way we do things can be difficult. The change requires a concentration of our will. We may want the change, but it is our will that insists we stay on the path to that change. To be willful means to have the power of control over our own actions, and that will fires up the persistence we need to get what we want. Contrary to popular belief, in witchcraft traditions, practitioners do not interfere with another's free will. This means we do not cast spells on people to influence their behavior. How do we get what we want instead? We cast on ourselves in line with our will, focusing carefully on what we would like in our lives instead. For example, instead of casting a spell to get back your ex-boyfriend who doesn't want us by influencing his will to love us again, we more ethically cast upon ourselves for our ideal partner. This way, we don't interfere with his free will, and if the ex is our ideal partner, he will return to us freely. If not, we have attracted someone new and better for us. Either way, win-win. To use our will productively, we should assess what we really want and make sure that this is what we want to reach for. Companion stone is hematite, which may be on my desk, maybe over here. I can't see. Look up hematite. I like this. I'm going to read this last sentence again. To use our will productively, we should assess what we really want and make sure this is what we want to reach for. I'm only highlighting that, Aries, because sometimes I feel like you have a tendency to want to do something to prove somebody wrong or just to prove that you can, because you want to prove that you're invincible, and that's fine. That's just kind of part of your DNA. But I don't want you to waste your energy trying to prove somebody that you can do something that you don't actually want, you know? I hope that's helpful to you, Aries. I love you so much. I'm going to move on to Taurus. All right, Taurus, here we go. What is coming to completion for you under this full moon, Taurus and Capricorn? All right. Got a similar card that Aries just did, but in a different position. And what is the obstacle to work through this full moon for you? Lastly, we're going to get your overall theme of this full moon. Overall theme of this full moon for Taurus, please. Okay. All right, Taurus, you're going to need to get into your manifestation bag really deeply under this full moon in Capricorn, all right? So let me show you the cards first, and then I'll dive a little deeper into each. What is coming to completion? We have the Fool. The Fool is a fresh start and a new beginning, okay? It's a fool's journey, usually one that you take when you're kind of bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready for a new chapter, okay? It's the beginning of the major arcana. The obstacle to work through is the Five of Pentacles. So maybe some hardship, some financial hardship. If you're doing great financially or doing okay, this could sometimes be connected to feeling isolated and abandoned, feeling alone on your journey. And your overall theme of this full moon is attraction, supermoon. I think it's a strawberry moon, this moon. And what is it, supermoon? Yeah, and this is about attraction, like attracting things to you. Taurus, I'm trying to remember what, because I've done a few readings more than usual this month of like, what you're going through. And I'm a little fuzzy on the details. I just do remember you needing rest. And I also remember, like things aren't going so hot, but I don't remember if it's relationship or finances or both. I do remember your readings kind of like highlighting that you're struggling a bit, but I don't have any of my notes in front of me and my computer's over there. So let's just talk about it a little bit for what's in front of me, okay? But I do encourage you to watch my June forecast, watch the rest of June reading. And I think your Mercury retrograde reading is already up for what to expect this retrograde, okay? All right, so with the Fool here, in terms of, what's coming to completion, this could be one of two things. Either you are ending a chapter where you are a newbie. Like an example could be, let's say you were like the new person on the job. Maybe you just finished your 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, 90 days or whatever. Maybe you're no longer a novice at something, okay? Maybe you're finally feeling settled in a new area that you just moved to or something like that. Yeah, this could be representing that you just finished a relocation of some sort, or you just finished a trip. Maybe, and I hope that it would have been a very like cathartic or healing trip for yourself. It could even be if you've been kind of like on this vibe where maybe you've been doing a lot of traveling. Maybe you're kind of like deciding, okay, that period is over. Because a lot of people do this. A lot of people decide to like, they want to do a lot of travel before they have children. A lot of people do that because they know once they have kids, it won't be as easy, or you won't have as much freedom because you're wrangling kids, right? So I wonder if that's kind of like part of this. Maybe you're ending that season of your life if you've been focused on travel. Maybe you're stepping back from a job that required a lot of travel of you. Let's see if we can clarify it all. For Taurus, please clarify the Fool for this full moon in Capricorn for Taurus. We have the Queen of Swords and the Tower. Okay. Queen of Swords is air sign energy, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. Could also be somebody very perceptive. Could be you that's kind of trying to get your head straight. The Tower is chaos, upheaval, sudden change. Taurus, you may have had to make some changes that you weren't prepared to make. And it seems that you are stabilizing, but you're not where you want to be, because the obstacle is still the Five of Pentacles. The obstacle is still, I don't have enough. Whether that be monetary or emotionally, you feel like you're struggling. So here's what I'll say before we get into the reading of this oracle message. You got to change your mindset, Taurus. And I'm very big on that. If this is your first time here, I am huge on mindset. Like, and even for me, like it's work. It's like being in the gym, babe. You have to keep your mind right. You have to keep yourself focused on, positive thoughts, not toxic positivity, but literally minute by minute shifting a thought to a positive thought. There's somebody I follow, Roxy Lee. I think I have her channel tagged in my YouTube of like recommended channels. She has an interesting thought, and she doesn't believe that you have to think happy thoughts in order to attract what you want. You kind of just need enough conviction. You know what I mean? It's more about the energy behind the desire that's important. And she gives this example on one of her older YouTube videos where she talked about like going to Chipotle one day, and like maybe they didn't give her guacamole or something that she had paid for or asked for. Maybe they were out. I don't know. And she was like, hell bent on like, I'm not leaving without guacamole. And I think she talks about how she was very angry, but she was so like jacked up, like, I'm not leaving without my guacamole. Like, I'm getting my guacamole. Like, she was convicted. She was like, no. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to manifest the guacamole and everything's going to be okay. Like, sometimes you do need to kind of get into that bag of like, this is what it's going to be. That's it. Sometimes sometimes life requires that energy, right? Like, sometimes you kind of have to gas yourself up into this will be, you know what I mean? Sometimes the energy of like, I'm just going to receive and meditate. Sometimes that's not the vibe. Sometimes that's not the vibe, you know, and there are more than one ways to skin a cat in these manifestation streets. So if you've always been under the like love and light energy, that's a strategy, but it's not the only strategy. So don't be afraid to kind of like lock into kind of like determinate energy and kind of like this will be energy. You don't have to be happy. You have to be convicted. You have to, in your mind, just like she was like, I'm not leaving without the guacamole. You have to be convicted. I'm not leaving without X. I'm getting that. I don't really care what you're saying to me right now, but I'm getting that. I'm getting that, and how you gonna figure it out? Because I'm getting that. Sometimes that's the energy. It's not my problem. It's your problem. How you gonna make that happen, universe? Please, thank you. Always gratitude. Always gratitude. Always gratitude, no matter what. But, you know, sometimes you kind of just need to be a little like, being a little fed up sometimes kind of helps. There's power in that. There's power in being fed up with this energy. But if you continue being like a dog, lying down and taking it, nothing's going to change. Oh, my life sucks and everything keeps falling apart and da 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 da. Yeah, because you're telling everybody that story. The story needs to be, you know what, it was really rough few months. Things didn't really work out, but I'm looking forward to what's coming from me. I'm looking forward to focusing on this, and this is what I'm expecting to get better in my life, and this is what I'm going to be focused on instead. You know what, that's the chapter. I'm ready to close that, put that behind me, but now I'm focused on that. Now I'm actually attracting this, and this is actually the partner I want now, and this is actually the job that I want now. This is what I'm not settling for now. There's a shift, and there's something to being fed up that is powerful. All right, let's look at this message 44. Oh, I turned one page away. I turned right to it. Here we go. Here's the summary. You can be magnetic to others and attract the good things in life. You can repel what you no longer wish to attract. Be ready for opportunity. Avoid extremes that might cause negative imbalance in your body or mind. Think of connections greater than yourself. Here's the affirmation. I can attract what I wish and repel what I do not. If that message is resonating with you, drop it in the comments, Taurus. A supermoon is a full moon that is the closest distance from the Earth in its revolutions. It is also referred to as a perigee moon. The supermoon looks huge in the sky, and, being so close to the Earth, it influences the oceans more than usual, causing more extreme tides than are normal. These changes in gravity and force are certainly noticeable, and for most people who follow the cycles of the moon and do magical workings aligned with them, it is the energy of supermoons that is most important. If a normal full moon gives us an opportunity to have rocket power under our intentions, a supermoon greatly magnifies this energy into a supernova. If we are growing, we all want to attract experience. If we are growing, we all want to attract experience into our lives. This can be positive relationships, a lifestyle that suits us better, clarity, love, prosperity, creativity, the list goes on. Equally, we also perhaps wish to be able to repel the experiences we don't want. It is important then to not just know what we want, but to be able to recognize what we don't. Attraction isn't about what we accept, but also about how we discern. Blindly attracting everything we think of into our lives rarely makes us happy, but being focused about it does. This card also suggests that we think globally and for the whole. If you are making intentions on the supermoon, include one for the planet. Companionstone is magnetite. I don't know what that is. I hope that's helpful, Taurus. I really do. You got to shift your mindset, babe. And there's power in being fed up. I see that you've undergone a lot of change, but you don't have to fold. Folding is a choice. Okay? I love you so much. You're gonna get through it. Use this full moon to your advantage. Love you. Bye. Hi, Gemini. All right, let's go ahead and see what Spirit has for you. Let's look at what chapter is closing for you under this full moon in Capricorn. Gemini, what chapter is closing for Gemini under this full moon, please? And what obstacle do you need to work through, Gemini, under this full moon in Capricorn? Okay, I put them face down, so I don't know what they are yet. All right, and let's see what your overall theme of this full moon is for you, Gemini. Overall theme of this full moon for Gemini, please. Okay, I feel like you had this card. I don't remember if it was I don't remember if I used this deck for your June forecast, to be honest. I really don't. But here we go. Let's look. I'm going to show you the cards and then I'm going to dive a little deeper. Okay. All right. So what cycle is closing? We've got the Magician, which is interesting. You know, the Magician is representative of a manifester and somebody who is able to attract and call in what they want, you know, with their ability. What's even more interesting is your obstacle to overcome is the Queen of Wands, which is also very closely tied to a manifester, because look at her wand. The Queen of Wands does represent the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. So potentially this could represent a fire sign in your life that's causing issues or stress, or somebody that you need to kind of have conflict resolution with potentially. But the Queen of Wands, she's a manifester in her own right, simply because she's just alluring and charismatic, and she is able to attract what she desires to her just because of her vibe and her energy, right? And the theme of this full moon is darkness, long night moon. This is like the full moon that's like associated with December, I think. And it's more or less like a message about, we're going to read it, don't worry, but it's like, it's kind of having to kind of like sit with some shit. You kind of have to just kind of sit and think and kind of give yourself a minute to kind of just reflect, you know? All right, so I want to preface this reading for you, Gemini, by saying you never stop manifesting. You're always manifesting every minute of your life by your thoughts, feelings, and actions, okay? That's number one. So this message that I'm about to say is not a message to stop manifesting. However, this could be two things. The Magician, sometimes negatively, it can be connected to a manipulator. So maybe you're ending a relationship or some sort of connection with somebody who has been manipulative. I also think there is something to you here not needing to manifest right now. If you're like, okay, let me see how I can pull this together and pull that together and da 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 da, how can I make this work? Because that's what the Magician does. They're trying to, you know, mix and whatever, trying to see how can I call this in. I think the message for you, Gemini, is that you no longer need to call things in, but maybe tend to what you've manifested. So if you this is what Spirit's giving me right now. If you were manifesting $1 million and you call it in, you've been manifesting $1 million for like 6 months since the new moon in Capricorn, maybe, or even just maybe the past 2 weeks since the new moon, just 2 weeks ago. You've been calling it in and you're just like, okay, great. Now I need to manifest 2 million. Now I need to manifest 3 million. Now I need to manifest 4 million. Whoa, bitch. Do we know how to manage the millions? You see what I'm saying? Like at some point you got to take a beat. At some point, yes, we manifested, but can we manage what we asked for, right? And this is kind of getting biblical, can we steward what we prayed for, right? Like maybe take a beat on the manifesting. That doesn't mean that you stop attracting things in your life. And I don't know if that's a fear for you right now. If I don't say my affirmations and nothing's going to come, that's not true. Okay. That's not the way to live spiritually. You shouldn't be stressed to manifest. That's not going to work. But I think you can lean into, okay, great. Thank you, Spirit, for, allowing XYZ to come into my life. Let me manage this now. Let me kind of make sure I tend to these things, the house, the relationship, the money, the car. I'm hearing Trey songs right now. I want the money, money and the cars and the clothes, the hoes. I suppose I just wanna be successful. You know that song? It's a really old song. You know, it's about managing it now, because you can't keep attracting. That's not sustainable. You can't keep attracting money and thinking if you just keep attracting money that you'll never run out. You have to at some point learn how to manage whatever it is you ask for. You manifested $1 million house. Do you know how to keep up $1 million house? Now you need landscapers. Now you need a cleaning crew. Now you need to go to homeowners associations and figure out those relationships. Like, you see what I'm saying? Now, what's interesting, obstacle to overcome. I wonder if this is an identity shift that you have to work through. Maybe you've been so firm on manifesting and calling things in that you are kind of trying to wrestle with how to tone that down a bit. Potentially. I'm not really committed. I'm not really committed to that explanation, but if I was gun to head, this to me would be your confidence, Gemini. This would be really, and I'm sorry in advance, there's a train that comes right through my house. It's a little bit far away right now, but you can probably hear it already. And when I say, this isn't like how New Jersey, the train was, because how it sounds right now is how the New Jersey train sounds. It was in a faint in the background. No. This train gonna come right goddamn to this window and shake the whole house. Anyway, I'm just letting you know in case the train is in our reading. I wonder if this is a confidence thing that you need to work through, Gemini, because again, the Queen of Wands is connected to charisma and confidence and spontaneity. I wonder if you're wrestling with, well, if I'm not manifesting and doing these things, well, then who am I? And that's why I was saying it might be an identity issue, but it could also be a confidence issue. It may be that you potentially need to get your confidence back up to manifest more in your life, right? That could be the message as well. You might need to kind of work on yourself a little bit and kind of improve that self-talk a little bit. Maybe you need to go back to basics, before you start layering back in those spiritual concepts of attracting more and more in your life. You got to get back to basics. You cannot manifest anything in your life if you're not talking to yourself positively. Ask yourself right now, I'll take a minute to let you think about it. Are your thoughts regarding whatever is most important to you right now in your life, whatever life circumstances you're working towards, are your thoughts 51% positive or 51% negative? If they're positive, great. Keep up the work, champ. If they're negative, you know what you need to do. We've got to snowball that into the positive self-talk and really building back up that confidence. Sometimes you got to work with, I did this a long time ago when I did this course. I had my clients to go on the internet and find one for yourself, Gemini, but find a quiz for it's a self-care. Hold on, what is it? It was love languages for self-care, how you love yourself. The love languages, gifts, acts of service, words of affirmation, physical touch, quality time, right? You know that most people know those in relationships, but do you know what you require for yourself? And I'll use myself as an example. In relationships, I need acts of service and words of affirmation. Quality time, yes, but those are my top. I mean, all 5 are important, but those are my top 2: words of affirmation and acts of service. It flip-flops depending on what season I'm in. But the train is coming through, so I'm kind of losing my train of thought a little bit. My mind is going with the train. But for myself, the number 1 is physical touch. not necessarily because I need to touch myself. I can't with this train. Hold on. Okay, so interestingly with this freaking train, because I live in a residential area, there is a sign that says no train horn. So basically the train is blasting that horn all the way through the city of Savannah. But then once it gets to my neighborhood, then it stops. And it's like, you could have stopped a while ago, bro. Like, we heard that. We all heard the train. We all heard it. Anyway. Not to say that I need physical touch for myself, but my point is I need a lot of pampering. But I'm a Leo sun, so that makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? Like, I love pampering. I love self-care. Like, get me a massage, give me a facial. I want a steam. I want a bath. That is how I care for myself. So my point is, figure out what that might be for you. And when I had my clients do that a couple years ago, some of them had learned that their love languages for themselves are like, they like to do acts of service. They feel like they're really loving themselves when they do something productive, when they handle like administrative tasks for themselves or handle some business and get their affairs in order, like they or doing chores. Like that really makes them feel like, yes, like I am in alignment with self. Other people need like to treat themselves, like the retail therapy, right? Gifts. They need to like spoil themselves with new things. So figure out what that is for you so you can kind of like get your confidence back up and feel good, so that we can kind of get back to basics. Like about a year or so ago, I remember my money was really crazy. And I just felt like my face, I think it was winter, and my face was just not it. I don't know what was going on. I wasn't able to buy my usual face products. Not that I use like super expensive face products anyway, but I just didn't have my usuals. And my face just looked like it was just like sad. Like my skin looked sad and it was noticeable. And I was like, I gratefully had a friend at the time. I was telling her about this and she sent me this vitamin C oil. It was vitamin C. It was some sort of oil, grapeseed. I don't know. That helped a lot. But that for me was like crushing my confidence of just my skincare. Like, but that's why it's important to know what do you need for yourself to kind of get back to a place of homeostasis. And then let's get back to manifesting and taking over the world, right? All right, I've been really chatting a lot. So let's talk about this 40 card. Again, I just almost flipped right to it. Long night moon. Long night mood. All right, here's the summary. You are entering a time of introversion, a leaner time to turn inward to plan and strategize. It is time to do shadow work, which will bring big dividends later on. Release what no longer works for you. Here's the affirmation. The darkness needs to be there as much as does the light. If that's resonating with you, drop that in the comments below, Gemini. One of the earliest human fears is said to be a fear of the dark. We fear what we can't see, and we fear what may be hiding. In reality, the dark is as important as the light. In nature, there are many nocturnal animals that go about the business of living under the moon, not the sun. The darker times of the lunar and seasonal cycles signal a time to naturally turn inwards, to stay close to home, to look closely at ourselves, and to plan for the light. In the northern hemisphere, the long night moon usually occurred in December around the winter solstice. This is when the nights are indeed long and the hours of sunshine short. It's cold and people would begin to be snowed in. It is during these long nights we can begin to do our shadow work, undertaking the self-reflection needed to identify what isn't working for us and what might be causing us pain. This could be a bad habit, a destructive pattern, a recurring useless fear, or anything that holds us back from being the best we can be. Once we see these aspects of ourselves in the dark, we can simply decide whether they must go. We can decide to release them once and for all. We get to transform. The companion stone is onyx. I do have onyx back here. I have a little onyx. This is, no, this isn't onyx. This is obsidian. Just kidding. I don't think I have onyx. I lied. I'm sorry. Look it up. I love you, Gemini. I hope this full moon treats you well. Be kind to yourself. Get back to basics, all right? Love you. Bye. Okay, Cancer, here we go. Excuse me. All right. What chapter is closing for you under this full moon in Capricorn for Cancer, please? What obstacle do you need to work through, Cancer, for this full moon in Capricorn? I have them face down, so I don't know what they are yet. Happy birthday, by the way. We're officially in Cancer season. And what is the overall theme of this full moon for Cancer? All right, let's look at everything. Okay, interesting. All right, let's just take it as it comes. All right, I'm going to explain the cards first, and I'm going to dive a little deeper, okay? We've got Seven of Swords for what chapter is closing for you. So the Seven of Swords is escapism. It is denial sometimes. It's running away. It's being sneaky. It's related to deception. And it's also, in its most positive interpretation, is about strategy, feeling like you need to strategize to get ahead, okay? So that's kind of what is closing out for you. I'll dig a little bit deeper in terms of how that could be manifesting in your life. Obstacle to overcome is Three of Cups. That's community. That's your friends and family. So maybe your relationships are struggling. The Three of Cups is also about reunions. So maybe you're finding it hard to make time or spend time with friends and family. Maybe you feel withdrawn or isolated from your people. And then the theme of this full moon is surrender. Okay, surrender. And usually that card appears when you've been trying to make something work for a very long time that isn't working. You kind of just have to give it over to God, give it over to the universe, is usually what that message is about. All right, so let's talk about these cards. Now, the Seven of Swords, it could be that you are releasing, or a cycle is ending with someone who has been untrustworthy, sneaky, hiding from you, escaping from you. That could be the vibe, okay? This could be that you no longer are lying to yourself or being dishonest with yourself. And then again, you know, if we're looking at it strategy wise, maybe that period of strategy is over. And I'll take that a step further, being that this is like what's coming to culmination, right? First of all, under this full moon, you might find out that someone has been lying to you, potentially, is what that could represent. You might find under this full moon, you kind of really find out someone's hidden truth or hidden motives, something like that. But going back to strategy, given that we have this surrender card as your theme, okay, I wonder if this is a message where something that you've been working at for 6 months isn't working, and so you need to kind of give up the plan, right? Again, let go and let God. I wonder if you've been trying at something for a while, and you've been trying to be low key about it, trying to be quiet about it, and it just isn't coming together. A lot of times that is when you need to kind of stop trying and just listening and just ask spirit, okay, I don't even want to say ask spirit, because 9 times out of 10, you know what you want to do. You know what you want to do. You know that you don't want to execute this plan, but you're just trying to be practical 9 times out of 10. So whatever it is you want to do is most likely what you need to do. Of like, I just want to get up and move to Florida, but you know, what are people going to think, and what are people going to do, and I just, you know, you're talking yourself out of it because it's not practical. But let you go to Florida and have the best life ever, you're going to be like, I knew this was the right move for me. Sometimes it's just about trusting your intuition and trusting what spirit has already put inside of you. Sometimes being practical is not always what's right for you. Being practical is, you know, it has its advantages, but it's not always the best thing. Being practical is not always smart. If I were practical, I would have stayed my ass in New Jersey. But I decided to spend thousands of dollars to relocate my whole entire life. I was like, nope, I'm not staying in Jersey anymore. Actually, I'm done. I would have saved so much money by just, moving to a different place in New Jersey, getting a different house and staying in the same area and stayed around the relationships I built up for years. But I was just like, yeah, no, I'm out. I'm done. And that was not planned at all. I was like, no, I'm done. I'm done. I can't, in my mind, in my body and soul, I was like, I cannot envision me moving to another residence in New Jersey. I'm going back south. And I'm happy. Number one, it's warmer. But I've always loved Savannah. I've always wanted to be here. And after I graduated college, and I love the town, like it's right for me. But did it make sense? No. But did the universe make sure it was able to happen? Yes. Yes. Okay. Let's talk about your obstacle to overcome, because we have the Three of Cups here. I do want to get another card. I'm actually going to get Healing Heart Journey just as an oracle. Just see like what might be the issue with your relationships. Let's see. What do you have for Cancer? All right. What is this? Okay. Innocent. Not guilty as charged. Tries to do the right thing. Hostility holds you hostage. I kind of don't understand that phrase a lot. Hostility holds you hostage. I feel like I said that really fast. So these are just bullets that are ways that these could be interpreted. This card can be interpreted. Obstacle to overcome. If I were doing a relationship reading, if you're struggling in your relationship, this could potentially be that you've been placing a lot of blame on somebody for mistrust, but maybe they're not actually in the wrong. Maybe potentially, everybody's situation is different, okay? But potentially your insecurities have been convincing you that they are up to no good, and maybe they're not. Maybe they're not. Which would make sense as to why this is what you need to let go of this full moon. This is what's coming to an end, feeling like somebody's like lying to you and mistrustful. Again, everybody's situation is different, so like you know what you're dealing with, okay? I'm not here to say that everybody's partner right now, if you're a Cancer, is like a saint, okay? But I'm saying potentially you may be nailing somebody to the cross that doesn't deserve to be there, and that is affecting your ability to reconnect with them. This could be romantic, platonic, familial, and honestly what just really needs to happen is an honest conversation. And to go further, if you are dealing with somebody that you cannot have a conversation with to kind of get clarity, you just need to let it go, which is why we have surrender. Okay? If you've been feeling like you can't trust somebody, number one, they've done something to make you not trust them. That's number one. So don't discredit that. They have done something that makes you feel like you can't trust them, and that is not invalid. Okay? I do want you to recognize patterns. If that is a pattern in all of your relationships, maybe you need to look at that. Maybe you do have severe trust issues. But if somebody did something that you're like, oh, I don't trust them, and you've had your guard up ever since, and you want to talk about that, and then that person is like not open to talking about it or trying to gaslight you, or you're just being over dramatic and you're just tripping, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I'm being honest, but still not giving you what you asked for, still not meeting your needs, maybe you got to let it go because you can't have a relationship. Now, I do think there's a point where, and this is interesting if you guys have ever dealt with cheaters, there's a YouTube channel that I usually refer to my clients. I don't remember the name of it, but they talk a lot about, what happens when there's infidelity, and one person really struggles to get over that. And really what happens is like that person kind of like, it could be like 6 months down the road and this person still feels like they need answers, and they might ask. And if you're the one who cheated or whatever, you just kind of have to indulge and just like give the information that they need for their grief process. But if you put up walls and be like, I told you everything I know, and why do you keep asking me? Just get over it. That is not helping the relationship at all, because you're not building a space to rebuild trust. You see what I'm saying? So my point is, if you're in a relationship where somebody, regardless if it's infidelity or something else, if you're in a relationship and the other person is just like, I keep telling you what happened and why won't you listen to me and nothing happened and I can't keep having the same argument with you and da 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 da, then either y'all need counseling or the relationship's not going to work, because the trust is gone and that person doesn't want to do what it takes to make you feel psychologically safe within the relationship anymore. Does that make sense? I'm not a therapist, but I have watched a lot of videos by therapists. Let's talk about this surrender card, okay? All right, so 26, here we go. Before I read this, let me just recap quickly. Under this full moon in Capricorn, Cancer, you may be ending a period of mistrust, either dealing with somebody you don't trust or ending a period of denying yourself something or lying to yourself, or potentially ending a period of having to be strategic. You also need to work through relationships with your community and friends and close people, and maybe even needing to reunite with people under this full moon as well. Maybe even, because it's the start of Mercury retrograde, potentially people you haven't talked to in a while. Okay? All right, let's look at this surrender card. Here's a summary. Surrendering doesn't mean giving up. Let go of what you no longer need. Stop being so stubborn about holding on to aspects and behaviors that don't align with who you are now. Stop struggling. The affirmation is, I let go, I surrender my struggle, I allow the universe to work through me. If that resonates with you, Cancer, drop it in the comments below. It took me a long time to realize that surrendering was a positive thing. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't mean the giving up kind of surrender. I mean the, okay, it's time for me to hand this over type of surrender. For those of us who are highly independent and used to doing things quite ably on our own, admitting we need assistance or that we might indeed have to let something go for our betterment can be challenging. Letting go and surrendering admits or exposes a vulnerability or two. To surrender, we may need to show our underbelly. We may need to admit that we got it wrong, made a mistake, grew a bad habit, surrounded ourselves with people that are not good for us. It can make us feel raw in our realization. Remember, this moon phase is dark and beautiful. It casts a protective shadow that allows us to be as wide open as we need to be to do our work. We reveal safely to only the divine and ourselves, and then the light returns. The companion stone is calcite. I think I do have calcite. Oh. I think I have a calcite. This is a really old, it's this yellow calcite. It's like barely yellow though. I don't know how this was oriented. I don't remember. Was it like that? I don't know. Honestly, Cancer, I feel like you've been ruminating quite a lot about information that you don't know is factual, and that has been affecting your relationships. That's kind of just what I'm seeing here. You've been ruminating about things that you don't actually have concrete facts on. So you're going to have to do one or two things. Either you're going to have to move on and accept what you don't know, or you're going to have to let something or someone go. Okay? I hope this is helpful to you, Cancer. I love you so much. You're going to get through it. You're brave. I believe in you. I'm going to go ahead and move on to Leo. Bye, sweetie. Hi, Leo. Okay, let's go ahead and see what we got for you for this full moon in Capricorn. All right, so what is coming to completion for you under this full moon in Capricorn? What obstacle do you need to work through, Leo, under this full moon in Capricorn? And then let's see what your overall theme of this full moon is. Overall theme of this full moon for Leo, please, in Capricorn. All right, everything's flipped over, so let me turn everything over now. Okay, wow. Yeah, this is a big shift for you, Leo, especially with Jupiter about to enter your zodiac sign. So let's go ahead and I'll show you the cards and then I'll kind of dig a little deeper. All right, so the first card we have is the Tower in terms of what is coming to completion, what is coming to an end. This is about sudden chaos, upheaval, and change. Like if you have felt like your life is a dumpster fire and you're just trying to manage, that is coming to an end. Great, that's great news. Now, I will say, because this is a full moon reading, I might pull a clarifier for this one, but there's a chance that this full moon brings like kind of one last final moment, one last final hammer of destruction and chaos and upheaval, potentially. And it would be something that needs to happen for you to have a clean slate, move on, whatever. Okay. Just systems that don't work anymore, beliefs that systems that don't work for you, any foundation that you would have put in place that just isn't in alignment with the chapter you're stepping into. Okay. Now, obstacle to work through is the World. The World is about chapters closing and sometimes also traveling, like the world travel, but it's usually about major accomplishments. Okay. And like having a really big win. So that's really interesting. I'm going to clarify that as well. And your overall theme of this full moon is attraction. Which sign got this? I think Taurus got this as well. And I gave Taurus a big pep talk on kind of how to kind of just some ideas and thoughts on manifestation that they might not have heard before. So feel free to go back to Taurus if you want to hear my rant on that. I'm probably not going to reiterate the same things in your reading. Their reading was a bit different. All right, so how do I want to clarify this? I'm just going to I've been using the Light Seers Tarot today because I do want to clarify with this Tower. Are we ending a period of destruction and chaos and drama? Or is it just that, you know, we just have something immediately to deal with under this full moon in Capricorn, you know? I do also sometimes connect the Tower to homes or physical buildings just because it's the only card next to the Four of Wands in the tarot that relate to like a home or physical structure, right? Okay, please clarify the Tower for Leo. Clarify the Tower for Leo for this full moon in Capricorn. Okay. Okay, so we have, three cards. All right, we have the Knight of Cups. Okay, so we have potentially a love interest here or water sign energy, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. We've got the Five of Pentacles reversed, so someone coming out of hardship, coming out of financial stress. But then also the Four of Swords reversed. So there's a lot of anxiety still here around this situation. So this could be potentially related to a relationship in your life. And whether it's you or the person, there's anxiety and hardship here. I wonder if, Leo, you're the one going through the hardship and then your partner is just like, kind of like, okay, I can't deal with this anymore. Or if it's vice versa. Or if you as a couple are, you know, have been moving through a chaotic and tumultuous period that have to affect finances and inevitably create a lot of anxiety. I really kind of feel like this is one last thing, Leo, to kind of like wrap this up with a bow. You might have had to endure 6 months or less, potentially, at some point within these 6 months since the new moon in Capricorn. You might have had to go through this period of chaos so that you could be rebuilt, reforged. Let's look at the World. Let's look at the World. Clarify, please, the World for Leo. Obstacle to overcome for Leo, the World. Okay, some cards just flipped out sideways, so I don't. All right, we've got the Hangman reversed and the Eight of Wands. Also reversed. Now, the Eight of Wands is connected to travel, so potentially there is a message again about travel here, all right? The Hangman reverse is about detaching from something you've been holding on to. Letting go. It's quite literally about letting go. Maybe you're letting go. The Eight of Wands reverse can be about something that is slow, because it's typically about things moving fast. So if it's reversed, it can represent something slow. So maybe there's been something you've been waiting for that you're finally letting go. You're like, you know what? I'm tired of waiting for this. I'm done. I've taken a minute to see if things would change. They're not changing. I've got to let this go. And that might be hard for you with the world being here. Okay? But I just want to encourage you. The world is typically about major accomplishments. It's generally quite positive. So I'm going to get a card from the Kipper deck just to see exactly what you're letting go of that's working out for you. All right, what is this for Leo? Clarify the world, please, for Leo. Okay. All right, so we have mature man. Okay, this is a person. All right, Leo. Now, there could be some major accomplishment regarding an older person, maybe somebody you've got a business deal with. This could be a father figure. This could be a brother. This could be a romantic interest of just someone who is older. Maybe older than you. Okay, it's relative, right? For whatever reason, I'm only saying this because the world is in the position of obstacle to overcome. You may be reluctant to accept the situation. And it may be because there's been so much drama surrounding this person or surrounding the situation, you might have a hard time believing it's finally over. It's finally done. I really just feel like you've been through a really rough period of stress and anxiety. And there's a little bit of PTSD, Leo. And I don't say that jokingly. I kind of just get this sense of like, is it safe to come out of the bunker? It's kind of how I feel like you're feeling. Like, is it safe to come out of the bunker? Are we good? Is it over finally? Are there no more bombs? Which is why you're struggling, which is why it's hard to really feel like, okay, that's behind us. We made it through. Okay. Now let's look at this theme of the full moon, attraction. Ooh. Okay, here we go, 44. Okay. All right, I'm going to read the summary first. You can be magnetic to others and attract the good things in life. You can repel what you no longer wish to attract. Be ready for opportunity. Avoid extremes that might cause negative imbalance in your body or mind. Think of connections greater than yourself. Here's the affirmation. I can attract what I wish and repel what I do not. Here's the full meaning. A supermoon is a full moon that is the closest distance from the Earth in its revolutions. It is also referred to as a perigee moon. The supermoon looks huge in the sky, and being so close to the Earth, it influences the oceans more than usual, causing more extreme tides than are normal. These changes in gravity and force are certainly noticeable, and for most people who follow the cycles of the moon and do magical workings aligned with them, it is the energy of supermoons that is most important. If a normal full moon gives us an opportunity to have rocket power under our intentions, a supermoon greatly magnifies this energy into a supernova. If we are growing, we all want to attract experiences into our lives. This can be positive relationships, a lifestyle that suits us better, clarity, love, prosperity, creativity, the list goes on. Equally, we also perhaps wish to be able to repel the experiences we don't want. It is important then to not just know what we want, but to be able to recognize what we don't. Attraction isn't just about what we accept, but also how we discern. Blindly attracting everything we think of into our lives rarely makes us happy, but being focused about it does. This card also suggests that we think globally and for the whole. If you are making intentions on the supermoon, include one for the planet. The companion metal is magnetite. I don't know what that stone is. Yeah, Leo. On that vein of like what I was telling Taurus of like, you're kind of reaching a point with this full moon of like kind of being fed up, which is why the message is being focused and mindful about focusing on what you want to attract and also repelling what you don't want. And that's where the fed up comes in at of like, yeah, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to deal with this anymore. But because there seems to be so much drama around this situation, maybe something or someone you've been waiting on, something that's moving very slow, you're kind of just like, okay, but is it really over? Is it really done? You're just going to have to wait and see. You're going to have to wait and see, because who knows with this Mercury retrograde, okay? You can say you're done today, but that's not really how Mercury retrograde works. Anything that really ends during a Mercury retrograde is most likely not going to come back during a retrograde. But it's usually things that have ended previously that come back around during a retrograde. But I want to believe there's a silver lining here. There has to be. There has to be. There has to be. There has to be a silver lining with, you know, whatever you've been waiting for, whatever has been slow moving, whatever has been chaotic. It can't be for nothing. And that is my belief for you, but you also need to believe it. Okay? I hope that's helpful, Leo. I love you so much. You're strong. You got this, whatever it is. It just feels like I'm not even really worried about you, because whatever this is, you're probably like, yeah, I'm done. Like, you're probably already over it. You're like, yeah, I know exactly what this is, and I'm not giving this any more energy. Like, I'm moving on. Like, closing that book. Not even closing the chapter, closing the book. You're like, closing the book. All right, Leo, I love you. I'm going to go ahead and move on to Virgo. Bye. Okay, Virgo, here we go. I had to get a snack, Virgo, because I don't really eat breakfast. I had just a quick bite. Okay. I also just turned on my light because the sun's moving, so I'm not getting as much natural light as I would like typically. So I put on my little light. All right. Okay, so let's see what is closing up for you this full moon in Capricorn. All right, what obstacle you need to overcome and work through this full moon in Capricorn for you, Virgo. And let's get your overall theme of the full moon for you, Virgo. All right. Okay, so, third. Okay. Well, I'm going to show the cards to you first, and then I'm going to read them, all right? So, we have the Hangman as far as what chapter is closing for you, what's ending. All right, now I would interpret this, well, first of all, the Hangman represents feeling stuck, feeling kind of like you're in suspension, feeling like you're waiting for everyone else or someone else to make a decision, feeling like you're at a standstill until someone else gives you a green light. You're just kind of feeling like, okay, well, like, what's happening? It also is like kind of feeling left on red, you know? That's that kind of vibe as well, feeling like, okay, well, where's this going? And is this moving forward? This isn't necessarily always related to relationship. It could be business dealings as well, you know, administrative dealings. You just feel like, okay, like, what's going on? You have no information. You're just kind of stuck. Sometimes the Hangman also appears when your life is like very chaotic. And sometimes Spirit will put you in a position of the Hangman where like Spirit will intentionally kind of put you in a place of, okay, you need to pause. And that could look like maybe this is dramatic, but like maybe you had an accident, but like maybe you like broke your leg. I hate to say it, but maybe that needed to happen because you were moving through life so fast. Like you needed something to force you to slow down. That's like a very extreme example, but imagine something in your life that might have happened that forced you to slow down. Okay. Obstacle to work through is the Two of Cups. We do have partnership here. The Two of Cups is typically connected to a romantic connection. It could also be partnerships, business dealings, best friends, that kind of thing as well. It can relate to your higher self, similarly to the Lovers, but not usually. Not usually. It's usually related to one other person. One other person that you're very close with. And then theme of the full moon is surrender. Okay, let go and let God. All right, so let's dive into this a bit more. Virgo, you may have been feeling like this for the past 6 months or since January, since the new moon in Capricorn. But this could also maybe just be more recent energy where you just feel like, oh my God, like maybe just feeling like an overall loss of control over your life these past few weeks. And feeling like other people are in control of your life and your destiny. I want to believe that's coming to an end for you because of the position of this card in terms of what's closing out, what's coming to an end. And it may be that you get through this with your partner, with a love interest or even just business partner. You may, Virgo, be used to doing everything yourself, but now because you're kind of at a standstill, you kind of need to lean on or rely on your partner to get through it. And maybe that might be hard for you, again, because of hyper independence or, you know, you being your analytical self, you're always the man with a plan or woman with a plan. And you might really need to kind of like be in lockstep with someone else to persevere. And that might be hard for you because you're the one used to having the vision, the control, the information. I do want to clarify the Hangman in terms of like what area of your life this is happening in. So let's see if I can get a clarification card on that. Please clarify Hangman for Virgo. We've got sudden wealth. Maybe there's money, particularly money that has been stalled or held up, a payout that you've been waiting on, or just, you know, money related to your job. This could be job related. Maybe job security is a discussion for you right now. Maybe there's a contract, like a business deal you're waiting on closing that's held up. But with the Hangman and sudden wealth together, I pray that you get the payout, that you're no longer waiting on this, that you're finally like, okay, whew, now that money finally came through, because this is a full moon in Capricorn, now you can finally plan and proceed with like what you want to do. Clarify the Two of Cups for the obstacle to overcome. I don't want to use the Kipper deck for that. Can you please clarify the Two of Cups for obstacle to overcome for Virgo, please? All right, Queen of Cups and, okay, we got 3 cards. Hold on. Queen of Pentacles, Earth sign energy, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. King of Swords, air sign energy, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. And the 4 of Pentacles, but it was reversed. I don't typically use reversals, but you know, shit, we'll take it. This is like releasing control or no longer clinging to material things when you see the 4 of Pentacles reversed. There's a detachment here. Now, this could be earth sign and air sign energy, but it could just be the energies of the card. So we've got someone here very nurturing, okay? She handles the business and the home. Then we got the King of Swords here, someone very like logical and wise, somebody who's very like smart, maybe someone who's like an expert subject matter of something. But to me, that would, you know, that's the partnership, right? The King of Swords, Queen of Pentacles represented here with the Two of Cups, but it's requiring, maybe that's the obstacle, that you detach and release from the material. I wonder if that's a big theme for you this full moon, Virgo, like needing to detach from material things, at least temporarily. I wonder. I'm always kind of the mindset of where I want you to have the biggest and best life of your dreams. And if that is like a rich and abundant life, then I want that for you. But I also do believe that there are seasons where you need to be a little slim. Just simply because that's how life is, not because that's what you should expect. You know what I mean? There's no one in this world who constantly every month increase. You know, at some point there's going to be something that either affects your finances or your expenses raise. You know what you need to look at, Virgo? Look at your birth chart, and I want you to look at where Mars is. And something I thought was interesting recently is that whenever Mars is in your second house or your eighth house, you can expect your expenses to be higher. And that's something that I actually want to plan for next year when Mars comes into your second house. For whatever reason, expenses are like, you just need a lot of money to make things work. So I'm going to actually make a plan for that next year for myself, because it's, for me, usually, I think it's like somewhere around the beginning of the year for me. So look at that. If Mars is in your second or eighth house right now, and that I think Mars is currently in Taurus, but it's about to be in Gemini. So look to see where Gemini is in your birth chart. Okay. I just kind of feel like, and I know I've talked about this in your reading for the rest of June, of like you finally making a decision after analyzing all your options. I feel like you're finally making a decision on something, but you're making a decision with a partner, with someone else in mind. And this is directly affecting your finances. That's really what I'm getting from this full moon reading. But the theme is you're going to have to let some things go. Normally when this card appears, Virgo, it's because however you've been operating isn't working, and you kind of got to let go and let God. So let's read this message. All right, here's the summary. Surrendering doesn't mean giving up. Let go of what you no longer need. Stop being so stubborn about holding on to aspects and behaviors that don't align with who you are now. Stop struggling. The affirmation is, I let go. I surrender my struggle. I allow the universe to work through me. Virgo, if that resonates with you, drop that in the comments below. It took me a long time to realize that surrendering was a positive thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't mean the giving up kind of surrender. I mean the, okay, it's time for me to hand this over type of surrender. For those of us who are highly independent and used to doing things quite ably on our own, admitting we need assistance or that we might indeed have to let something go for our betterment can be challenging. Letting go and surrendering admits or exposes a vulnerability or two. To surrender, we may need to show our underbelly. We may need to admit we got it wrong, made a mistake, grew a bad habit, surrounded ourselves with people that are not good for us. It can make us feel raw in our realization. Remember, this moon phase is dark and beautiful. It casts a protective shadow that allows us to be as wide open as we need to be to do our work. We reveal safely to only the divine and ourselves, and then the light returns. The companion stone is calcite. Okay, I do have calcite here. There you go. It's like yellow calcite. I've had it for like many, many years. Virgo, I hope that's helpful for you. I think the biggest obstacle for you is about releasing control. I think that's really what I would assume is going to be your biggest challenge, regardless of however you need to work with another person. It's releasing the control and having to consider someone else that I think is going to be the challenge, the growing point for you, the growing pains. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments below, Virgo. Watch for your moon and your rising. I love you so much. I'll see you on the next one. Hi, Libra. All right, let's see what we got going on for your full moon. All right, for the full moon in Leo, for the full moon for Libra in Capricorn. All right, what is closing up? What cycle is ending for Libra, please? Okay. Excuse me. What is the obstacle to work through for Libra, please? Okay. They're all face down, so I don't know what it is yet. All right. And what is the overall theme for Libra this full moon in Capricorn, please? Oh, I took two. Shit. I intended for this one, but I will see what the other one is. Okay, here we go. All right. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna show you both, but I'm only gonna read one of these oracle messages. All right. So, what cycle is ending for you? We've got King of Pentacles. Okay, that's Earth sign energy, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. The King of Pentacles is also about stability, security, and wealth. Now, I don't mean to explain that this was what end, so we'll clarify that for you, because I don't ever want that to be the message. Oh, well, your time of abundance is over. Like, no, let's clarify exactly what that's going to mean for you. It could be with this full moon that you finally get to a place of feeling secure, feeling abundant, if you've been working on improving your finances the past 6 months. Okay. All right. Obstacle to overcome is the Knight of Swords. We've got air sign energy here, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. The Knight of Swords is like someone coming in to offer information, to come and assist. Like, I heard one tarot reader explain it as like the cavalry coming in. I thought that was really interesting. But it's like quick action and things moving forward, and like wanting to take the information you have and run with it. It usually does indicate the speed and pace of things improving if things have felt stagnant, especially with Mars having been in Taurus the past few weeks. So you may have a little bit of issue adjusting to the new pace, to a new rhythm. All right, and theme of the month, I had to remember what, I was like, what do I talk about here? Theme of the month is focus. This is the card that I originally grabbed, focus, but right behind it was growth. And I was like, okay, I see that. So I'm not going to read this message, but I just want this to be a confirmation to you, Libra, that you have undergone a significant period of growth. Okay. Okay, let's see if we can clarify this King of Pentacles here. I want to believe that for you, Libra, it's that you've been working on improving your finances and you're finally feeling that under this full moon in Capricorn, that you are there, that you're feeling more secure and more stable. Clarify King of Pentacles for Libra, please. Oh, fuck. 2 cards just fell on the floor. Okay. I don't think I can reach it, but I'm going to try. I got it. Okay. All right, we've got the Sun and the Chariot. The Sun does represent clarity, joy, happiness, and clarity. I don't know if I said that. And then the Chariot is representative of the zodiac sign of Cancer, but it's also about moving forward and moving on, overcoming any obstacles. I also connect it to any moving as far as relocation or potentially traveling sometimes. It's hard to say whether or not these were reversed or not, but they were both in the same position. Given that we have the King of Pentacles here, I don't think this would be reversed. This would be quite positive, that this would be positive forward momentum of like, oh yes, finally I'm making progress in my life. I think, Libra, you've been working towards getting here. You've been working towards feeling like you have surplus, feeling like you have money left. You've been working towards increasing your disposable income. And I think finally you've gotten there. I think finally you got there. It took a while, but you're there now. I really have nothing else to say about that. Let me know if that resonates with you. If you're not there, I would use this full moon to see what ritual or what manifestation work you could do to call that in. Use this full moon in Capricorn to call in the success, call in the abundance, call in the recognition that will help you financially and potentially in your work and career. All right, the Knight of Swords, I do want to clarify as well. Clarify that for Libra, please. The Knight of Swords, obstacle to overcome this full moon. All right, the Page of Cups just flipped out. Okay, flipped out reverse. The Page of Cups is water sign energy, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. You know, when we have the Page of Cups reverse, I'll show it to you upright. It's like when pigs fly, when, you know, kind of like dreaming and like seeing what's possible. Being sensitive, being artistic, being whimsy. Like the Page of Cups is the whimsy card in the tarot. It's also a happy surprise, okay? And when it's reversed, sometimes it can represent feeling like you're not really ready to share with the world, like things on your heart, things you've been working on. I think this is a message. It's also connected to children sometimes. I think though this is a message for you, Libra, that like whatever you've been like keeping private, it's time to like put out in the world. It's time to like go forward. If not now, when? I love Shark Tank, and I see so many episodes of Shark Tank where people get on the show, but they don't have any sales. They don't have any proof of concept. And usually they're like, well, we've been working on it for so long. We've just wanted to perfect it before we go to market. And usually the sharks are like, yeah, I get that. But at some point you need to see what's working and what's not. It's never going to be perfect until you get feedback. And that's kind of where you're at. I feel like you're ready to release whatever you've been working on privately. And it seems like you're going to do a fast launch or a fast execution. But just be prepared to roll with it. And also lock the fuck in, Libra, because we've got this focus card. That's what I'm going to read. That's your theme of this full moon, focus. I think I have, my little thing says focus, darling. I wish I could show it to you, but it's over there. All right. Here's the summary. You must focus on the task at hand right now. There is no room for a scattergun approach. Put on the blinkers and do not listen to gossip or negative people. Okay, I don't understand blinkers. If you make a mistake, it is your mistake to make. Do not waste your focus. Do not split your attention into too many pieces. The affirmation is, I have a laser-like focus that serves me well. If that resonates with you, Libra, drop it in the comments below. What we place our focused attention on matters. Placing our undivided focus on something means we are more likely to take action on it. We are more likely to finish something we wish to complete if we focus on it. We are more likely to plan and succeed in our achievements should we take the time to focus on how. Even something as simple as eating a meal is more enjoyable if we take the time to focus on just that, eating and all of its sensory rewards. What hinders focus? Diversion. And it is often diversions we set for ourselves or that we allow. When we are afraid of our own growth or greatness, we may procrastinate. We might place drama in our own way. We may even focus on everyone except for ourselves and never have the time to do the things we set for ourselves. Our heart's desires therefore never come to us. We might allow the opinions of others to get in the way, letting the criticisms and values of others affect us. This is useless. We need to forget about the gossip or opinions of others about what our society says. Instead, turn your focus to you and what you are doing. Pay attention to you. You. We need to focus instead on what feels so deeply good to us, what we really want, and what we want to place our laser-like focus upon. And soon it will be ours. The companion stone is carnelian. I don't see my carnelian. But also, like, I'm just not behind my bookshelf anymore, so it's harder to grab crystals that I have to show you. But I'm sure you've seen carnelian before. I'm certain of it. So, Libra, that's what I have for you. Go to market. Go to market. And I know, like, that might not resonate exactly with everybody, but I feel like that's kind of like an inner mantra that you need to have. Go to market. That could represent going to the dating market, put yourself out there, you're ready, you're feeling more secure. Go to market could be like starting that social media page or finally growing that social media page. Go to market could finally be releasing that product and like creating a Shopify account, like whatever, like just put it yourself out there in whatever ways that you feel like you've been wanting to. Now feels like the time. Okay, you've done the inner work, I feel like, okay? So now it's time to lock in so that you can reach those goals. I hope this was helpful to you, Libra. I love you so much. I'm going to go ahead and move on to Scorpio. Hi, Scorpio. All right, let's see what cycle is closing for you, what's ending, what's coming to completion for you, Scorpio. All right, so what obstacle do you need to work through this full moon? And let's see what your overall theme of this full moon in Capricorn is for you, Scorpio. Scorpio, please. All right, let's flip them. Honestly, this is very much in alignment with your full moon, with my forecast for you. And also the message I was saying in my reading rest of June for you. This is in alignment. This is truly in alignment for you, Scorpio. So if you missed those readings, I would go back and watch those after this full moon reading, because those readings will provide more context to maybe what you might have been going through or experiencing for the month of June overall. All right, I'm going to show the cards first, and then I'm going to dive in deeper. Cycle that is ending or coming to completion, we have the High Priestess. Now, for me, this feels more like a culmination versus an ending. This is your intuition. This is your insight and connection with the divine. You yourself might be starting a spiritual practicing business. You maybe into Reiki, tarot, tea leaf reading, massage therapy, mediumship, the palm reading, any of the divine practices. But in general, if maybe you're not a practitioner, this is about being connected spiritually and feeling like you really are in tune with what it is God, Source, Spirit has been trying to communicate with you. Obstacle to overcome is 10 of Pentacles, which is really interesting. We have abundance here. We have a payout, potentially. Now, the 10 of Pentacles is closely aligned with squabbles over money as it relates to family. Especially if like someone died, you're trying to figure out how to manage an inheritance or something like that, or how to split up property or someone's estate, those kinds of things. Because it's about legacy. And it, regardless of whether or not you're managing an estate or involved in estate issues, this could also be, Scorpio, where you're trying to figure out something regarding your legacy, what you want to leave behind. This full moon might bring up those themes for you, where you're really just like in a space of like, okay, like, what do I want people to say about me when I die? What I have left behind for myself, for my children, potentially, for the world. But most usually it's about abundance, and it's usually about some incoming money coming to you, some sort of surplus. Your overall theme of this full moon is acceptance, okay? Which I think is lovely. Scorpio, I feel that this is a culmination, because maybe since the new moon in January in Capricorn, you've been trying to be more in tune with your spirit and what spirit is communicating with you. But maybe it's been hard to hear God's voice or spirit's voice, and maybe it's been hard for you to tune out the noise. Maybe you've been feeling like you've known what you've wanted to do or actions that you've wanted to take in your life for a while, but you haven't because you've been trying to do what's practical. You've been trying to do what's logical. You haven't been doing what feels an alignment with you. I forgot what sign I said this to, but earlier, but sometimes what's practical is not always what's right for you. I'm going to clarify what this is for you, like where exactly you've been needing to listen to your intuition. So let's see. For Scorpio, please. All right, we have coffin, something that has needed to end. Now, this could be related to someone's passing, quite literally, but most often it's related to something that needs to come to an end, something that you need to utilize your intuition around. It could even be someone that you're communing with that has passed away. I don't know what I'm thinking about right now. This is so weird. And I can't necessarily think of a particular show or because this is kind of what I'm about to say, I feel like is a theme that gets represented in multiple shows and movies. But if someone experiences grief and that person passes away, maybe the main character of a show or a movie is still seeing that person and communicating with them, right? And usually this person has to go through this big change, metamorphosis, or acceptance of, okay, they're really gone before they no longer see them. Does that make sense? Like, I know you've seen that theme in like shows and movies before where like someone's talking to the dead, but like once they finally are able to properly grieve and let go, they no longer see them. I kind of feel like that's what you're going through on some level. Like there's acceptance around some sort of loss that you have been grieving. Yeah. Also, too, notice all the doves. Look at all the doves back there, Scorpio. Let's clarify the Ten of Pentacles for you. Clarify obstacle overcome for... I do want to say, yeah, for you, Scorpio, this could be like maybe you've recently come into a lot of money and you're trying to adjust. Like you don't know what to do with this amount of money. More money than you know what to do with. You know what I mean? The clarification card is poverty, but also like I just call it the hardworking card. Yeah, I think there's an adjustment here. I think your finances are about to increase and you are trying to figure out how to adjust to it. Pace yourself. If that is your reality, amazing, congratulations. But don't feel like you got to spend it all in one place. A lot of times what people make a mistake of doing is I'm not gonna make this about me right now. I'm just gonna focus on generalizing. People will get a raise, get a new job, and their income increases exponentially. What most people do is they get a better car, they get a better house, they start buying all these other things. And then what happens is you still have the same level of disposable income that you did before with just nicer things. So a lot of times people feel like, damn, I'm making more money, but why doesn't it feel like it? Well, because you raised your expenses. So if that is the case, don't feel like you need to upgrade your whole life at once. If your car is struggling, okay, maybe fix the brakes and get something a little bit better that's reasonable. But, don't feel like you have to go top of the line. If you are wanting to move out of like a not nice neighborhood, okay, do that, but don't feel like you need to get into a luxury apartment building. I'm not a fan of those, by the way. Like, I'm not a fan of luxury apartment buildings. I feel like you don't get a lot of square footage and all the money you pay for is for the amenities. Like, I don't want to talk to this doorman every day. I don't give a fuck about him. I don't give a fuck about this little communal area anyway, that's me though. That's me and my Cancer vibes, okay? My Cancer moon, my Cancer Venus. Everything I need needs to be in my house. I don't care about the community amenities. I don't care. Let's talk about my square footage. So don't feel like you need to upgrade your whole life at once. Like, it's okay to sit on some money. It's okay to invest a little. You know what I mean? It's okay to have a little money aside if you want to take a trip somewhere. Let's read this acceptance card. All right. Acceptance of the current situation is the first step to change. The past does not exist. The future hasn't happened. There is only right now. The affirmation is, I accept where I am and who I am right now. If that resonates with you, Scorpio, go ahead and drop that in the comments below. When we examine our lives and engage in some truth-telling, we are often confronted with what really is. The realization is powerful, but often we reject this truth if it is too hard to bear or we are afraid of accepting something so difficult. Each of us at some time has dodged our blind spots and then had the illumination of what actually is eventually confront us. What we do next is crucial. Do we accept exactly where we are, no matter how painful or confronting? Or do we retreat back into our illusions and remain stuck or unchanging? Choosing to accept ourselves fully and the position we are in enables us to take that step towards growth. When we can plant our feet solidly into the earth and say, yes, here is exactly where I am and I accept this fully, then we can take the next steps confidently, honestly, and powerfully towards where we now wish to head. Accepting where we are right now in its fullness allows us to also accept that there may be some chaos in our change before there is full order again. This can be an exciting feeling rather than one that generates fear if we hold our new intentions clearly. The companion stone is lepidolite. Lepidolite. Again, all of my crystals are over there and I can't reach them, so you're gonna have to look up lepidolite. I think this message tracks with your reading. Let me know if it's resonating with you below, Scorpio. I hate that your readings are always around transformation, but that's just kind of like who you are and what your assignment is on this earth in this carnation, okay? So let me know, and I encourage you to watch your moon and your rising as well. Love you, Scorpio. See you on the next one. Hi, Sag. All right, let's see what we got for you, okay? All right, so what is coming to completion or culmination for you, this full moon and Cap for you, Sag? What obstacle do you need to overcome this full moon or work through, Sag? And then let's get your overall theme. For Sagittarius, please, overall theme of this full moon in Capricorn. All right, let's flip everything over. All right. Okay, this isn't a scary full moon if you were holding your breath. Okay, here we go. I'm going to explain the cards first, then I'm going to dive deeper. Two of Wands here for what's coming to completion or culmination for you. Two of Wands is about expansion. Actually, that's really more Three of Wands. The Two of Wands is about planning and getting organized, okay? Setting your sights on the future, trying to see, okay, where do I want to head next? Getting a plan together, getting organized. It's also connected to travel because it's often like, okay, where do I want to go? Now that could be quite literally, but it could also be like energetically and like goal wise, like, you know, what's next for me is the question. All right. And then we have obstacle to overcome with the Justice card. The Justice is connected to the zodiac sign of Libra, in case that's important to you. The Justice is also about compromise, fairness, getting what you deserve. It could also be connected to legal dealings as well. And then lastly, your overall theme, we have boundaries. Okay. All right. So going back to, you know, what's coming to completion. Now, maybe around this full moon, you're just particularly focused on creating a plan for the future. Maybe the past 6 months you did achieve a major goal, hopefully, and now you're like, okay, like what do I want to focus on now? Again, it's very what's next energy. I don't want to say that the past 6 months have been boring for you, because I think they've been anything but. I think they have been quite busy for you. I just think you're very future focused right now, just very just very focused on like, okay, what is my next goal? What is my next conquest? I think is probably what you're asking yourself under this full moon, especially because with the full moon in Capricorn, it's very tied to like our goals and ambitions, right? And you may be feeling like, okay, what's my next chapter going to be about? Like you might be feeling that way under this full moon in Capricorn. If you are a Sagittarius rising, then Capricorn would be your second house. So there may be an emphasis on finances, of like you wanting to expand your finances in some way, or your earned income potentially, and wanting to create a plan there. If you're a Sagittarius sun, you know, that could still be relevant for you in terms of second house, but you want to figure out what your rising sign is and see exactly where Capricorn is, because the full moon, again, if you're a Sagittarius rising, is going to be taking place in your second house. So there's going to be something coming to completion with your finances. I want to focus, let me get out of astrology for a minute. So I would only assume that you're in this position, Sagittarius, because you've already completed some major goal. I don't have the world here or anything like that to say, okay, boom, you completed a goal, now you're on to the next. But that's the only inference that I can make, is that you have achieved some sort of success or some goal, and now you're wondering what's next. I started to say maybe the past few months have been quite boring for you, and maybe you want to focus on traveling. But I mean, that seems so odd to say, because for you as a Sagittarius, you have likely already done quite a bit of traveling. I want to meet the Sagittarius that has not been anywhere, that has not traveled at all. Like, I want to meet that person. I want to understand their birth chart. Let's just see if I can get a clarification at all, and then I'll move on for Sagittarius, please. Okay, the house. Okay, we have house for you. You know, Sagittarius, you might be fixated on, okay, it's time for a new house, time for a new home. Where do I want to live? What's the market looking like? Is it still time to rent or buy? You know, you might be trying to get a plan around your home. Okay, wanting to invest in property, or trying to figure out where you want to live and plant roots maybe. All right, now let's look at this Justice card with the obstacle to overcome. I do want to clarify that, so because that could be so many things. So many things with the Justice card. Please clarify for Sag, obstacle to overcome this full moon. Something wanted to come out but didn't. We'll clarify the obstacle to overcome for Sag, please. All right, we have, okay, Queen of Pentacles, Seven of Pentacles, Empress. Okay. Heavy motherhood energy. Queen of Pentacles is Earth sign, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. Seven of Pentacles, you're waiting for something. Empress energy is like nurturing energy, okay? I feel like you've won some sort of fight. Or, at the very least, decided to compromise with someone, reach some sort of resolution with either an earth sign or a mother figure. But this has been like a long time coming, in my opinion. This has been a long time coming. Potentially, Sag, you may have finally put your foot down and said, I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. That's not really, I'm throwing that out there, but that's really not what the justice is about. The justice is like you getting what you deserve and like something kind of really going in your favor. But I started to say that because you may have decided that you no longer want to wait on or for someone. And the reason why I'm saying that is because your overall theme is boundaries. I kind of feel like you're deciding of like, you know what, I'm not going to stand for this anymore. And actually, I'm cutting you the fuck off. You know, again, could be related to a mother figure, or it could be your wife, could be your, you as a mother, could be like being frustrated with one of your children, feeling like they did you wrong in some way, you know. And again, we've got earth sign energy in the mix, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, or potentially just someone else who's very nurturing. Okay. I want to believe this is positive, Sag, of like with the justice, it usually is, if kind of getting what you deserve. The reason why it's an obstacle is that you might have to fight for it more than you want to. You might have to fight for what you deserve a little bit more than you want to, either with your mother or with this earth sign. And the issue could be you might have been waiting for somebody to come around and apologize or kind of see that they were wrong, but they don't. And then you have to be the one to be like, you don't see that she was wrong? Okay, let's see 12. Here we go. Boundaries. All right, here's the summary. Judging what you need and what you don't need allows you to place healthy boundaries. You teach people how to treat you. Judge what is healthy and right for you with clarity and care. Simplify. I feel like this wasn't long. Yeah, this message is pretty long, so like strap in. I don't even know why it's so long either. I don't even want to read all this. Okay, I'm going to. The affirmation is, I can say yes or no with authenticity and clarity. If that's resonating for you, Sagittarius, drop it in the comments below. In times of sickness, or say the presence of very strong emotions such as grief, we often naturally simplify. We cut out all the extras that are too hard or too complex at that time. We might not take up an invitation to an event we might have to work at attending. We might only watch a film we know uplifts us. We might only want to see or communicate with friends we know and trust to understand, love, and support us, warts and all. We might only choose to spend the depth of our heart and time with a few people rather than many, and we may become vastly sensitive to those we now discover take their unfair share of our energy. We might also look to our body more, compassionately, and eat nourishing foods to heal it. Do comforting things for it to recover more easily, or just decide to rest it completely. If we are healthy people, we naturally action a kind of simplicity and a set of boundaries to protect ourselves so we can give ourselves some space to heal. What if we did this all the time? What if we more consciously chose more simply and specifically for the benefit of our own mind, body, and spirit? Yes, life is complex, but it can be richer and more enjoyable if we pare back what is negatively extra and choose a more deliberate and authentic path. We don't need so much fluff and people pleasing and running about madly and fast food and fast fashion and gossip and hardcore Olympic level scheduling and stress. We just don't. Look at what you chose to do last time you were forced to simplify. If it was a positive choice, maybe that could be your starting point for something better today. This judgment you made was for you and it worked. Not all judgment is bad or to be avoided. Every single one of us judges every day. We judge what brand of washing powder to buy among many. We judge what TV show is good and what isn't. We vote, which is a judgment on trust. We have a legal system with a judge. We judge what we will accept and what we will not. If we don't, we do not have value. If we don't, we do not have values, nor do we have boundaries. Huge issues for some. Okay, she's fucking with me. This is too much words. To simplify, focus on your own experiences and not look outside yourself for justice may all be very nice for gurus. But for those of us who want to be the change they wish to see, I judge happily that certain things are acceptable, so I strive to change those things. People judged that slavery wasn't right and involved themselves in change, even to the extent of waging war. People judged that whaling wasn't right, so it's been banned in most countries. We judged that apartheid wasn't right, and people died to change it. One brave man, Nelson Mandela, was jailed for decades as a result. Boundaries teach people how to treat us, and this is a kind of positive judgment. The companion stone is obsidian. Okay, sorry, she just like really goes in on that one. Okay, I do have obsidian behind me. This is one of my obsidian stones. My little dolphin. Okay, I really hope you got the point of what she was saying, okay? What she was really saying is boundaries in the way of like, yes, like implement some healthy boundaries in the ways that we understand of like letting people know what you will and won't tolerate and like, you know, that kind of thing. But also boundaries as in like, are you doing too much? Are you doing too much, or do you need to simplify? Do you need to pare it back? Like, are you, you know? And I do think in this world in 2026, there's like such an unfair amount of pressure on us as individuals and as adults to keep up with all these things that our parents simply didn't have to. Keeping up with social media, keeping up with news, keeping up with friends, keeping up with social activities, keeping up with kids, keeping up with, you know, trips and bachelorettes. And like, it's so much. It's like way too much. Like, it can feel like a lot. So Sag, like ask yourself, what can you scale back to kind of like re-simplify your life? How can you declutter your life from activities? You know what I mean? And people. I hope that was helpful, Sag. Let me know how this full moon goes for you. Watch for your moon and your rising. I love you so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Okay, Capricorn, here we go. This is your full moon. Let's see what the vibes are. I'm so excited for you. Get you a good shuffle. All right. What is coming to completion or culmination for Capricorn under this full moon for them? Nine of Wands wanted to come out. That's resilience, but I put it back. Okay, what obstacle does Capricorn need to work through under this full moon, please? All right, and then let's see what your overall theme of this full moon is for you. What is the overall theme for Capricorn, the full moon in Capricorn? All right, let's flip everything over. All right, okay, here we go. So first, I'm going to explain the cards and then we're going to dive in. First card is Judgment, okay? This is what's coming to completion or culmination. This is very interesting, Capricorn, because really what this card is saying is that it's time to answer for how you've been behaving, how you've been acting. And I don't necessarily mean that negatively. This could be quite positively. Maybe you're like up for a promotion, right? And now you're being judged, like that kind of thing. But there's a decision that is being made about you. You may have an important decision to make as well. All right, obstacle to overcome, Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so potentially a windfall or payout coming your way. Maybe we'll see why this is an obstacle, so I don't want to speak too much on that. And the Wheel of Fortune is also about the changing of the karmic wheel and divine timing, so that could be a message as well. And then the overall theme of this full moon for you is discernment. Okay. Which would really go hand in hand with the Judgment card. Okay. Now let's look at this a bit. For Judgment, the Judgment is about answering the call. Okay, it's about ascension. It is about soul growth. I always love it. If you're not new here, you guys know I prefer the imagery in Chris Ann's deck. I'm going to find it now for you. Bear with me. I love the way she depicts it in this deck. And you know what happens all the time? I be trying to find a card and I go through the whole damn deck and then I be like, damn, did I pass it? Hold on, I think I see it. No, that's not it. Damn it. And then I go through the deck. I'm like, dang, like why didn't I find it? And then here we go. Okay. So I didn't go through the whole deck. All right. This is the Judgment card. Oh, what's behind it? Oh, I accidentally grabbed the Two of Pentacles by reverse. Okay. Okay, you see, it's ascension. It's leveling up. It's soul growth. Okay? So, there's a moment of growth for you. Okay? And again, I really do feel intuitively that there is something you have to answer for. Again, maybe how you've acted, how you've behaved. You have to decide if you're going to rise to the occasion in a certain aspect of your life. You're being asked to level up. And I want you to really think about these past 6 months, right? Like, in what area, since the new moon in your sign in Capricorn, in what areas of your life have you been trying or striving to make improvements? Okay? Because this full moon is going to ask you, are you ready to make a change? Are you ready to do what is required for you if you want to advance to the next level of your life? Because if you don't make a change, guess what? Things stay the same. And then you're going to feel left behind. You're going to feel like everybody else in your life is moving on but you, and da 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 da. Right? Let's see. I'm going to pull an extra card. Let's see in what area of your life maybe you're having to be judged or make a determination here for you, Capricorn. What way you're leveling up. What way is Capricorn leveling up or changing? Literally the change card. Literally the change card. Whenever I see this card, I often see it connected to either like moving or relocating. And I also see it related to travel, but it's usually about quite literally, I see it when you need to pack up the car and go. I wonder for you, Capricorn, look at your birth chart, figure out where this full moon is happening for you, what house. I wonder if for some of you, if it's like 4th house stuff. But regardless of home, like this could be even like changes at work. Like maybe you're having a new job. Like maybe you're going through final round interviews, something you've been like preparing for a very long time. And also with the Judgment card, it's often connected to something you could potentially have been avoiding for quite a long time, but this full moon is forcing you to address it. Like it's time to deal with the person, deal with the conflict, deal with the administration, deal with the filings, deal with whatever. Have the difficult conversations. Like it's that point. Okay. It's kind of like having a fork in the road and you're being asked which road are you going to choose. It's not quite 2 of Swords where, oh, do I want to have Zaxby's for dinner or Chick-fil-A? It's like, are you going to continue with the same patterns you've been operating under, or are you going to make a different choice and change your life? You see, it's like, it's a little bit more major theme. It's more big theme, like, All right, let's look at this Wheel of Fortune, because that's a tricky one in terms of obstacle to overcome, right? Let's see what we get. I want to see what pops out of the tarot deck here. Clarify Wheel of Fortune, obstacle to overcome for Capricorn. 2 cards. 3 of Pentacles and 6 of Cups reversed. 3 of Pentacles is teamwork and collaboration, working together. 6 of Cups now it's typically connected to like family and the past, people, friends, and places you've grown up with, people you've known for a very long time. When you see it reversed, it could represent feeling stuck in the past. It could also represent like you're stuck in the past and not able to move on. This could also quite literally be, simply because it's with the 3 of Pentacles, that maybe there's an opportunity to work with someone from your past that would be offering you money or an opportunity to increase your finances in some way. That's one interpretation. This could also be that you're just struggling in your relationships with someone you've known for a while. Maybe you're working with someone you've had a long-standing relationship with, and maybe it's just struggling. Maybe power dynamics have shifted a bit, and that's what's causing issue. But the Wheel of Fortune is here. So for me, money is involved in some way. Money is a factor in some way that's affecting this relationship, either with your family or with friends or family that you've known for a while, and how you work with them, how you partner with them. I hate to say it, Capricorn, but you may have outgrown certain people that you currently work with. You may have outgrown them, and you need to kind of come to that realization and acceptance that you're in a different level, okay? You can't operate... Oh, I wish I had an example. I mean, I do have an example, but I wish I had... I feel like I have one on the tip of my tongue, but in my life, but I can't 100% recall right now. So I'll be generic. If you... Okay, let's just use like corporate baddie example, because most of my viewers are like very smart and like hardworking women or people. Let's say you did the work for the past 10 years to climb that corporate ladder. You worked your way up from the bottom up, and now you're director of whatever, VP of whatever, manager of whatever, senior whatever, okay? And you go back to the crib, like you go back to the neighborhood, and you catch up, because it's a Mercury retrograde, you catch up with whoever, and somebody you used to deal with hasn't made much progress in their lives. They're still working at the bank, which is not a bad job, but they've been there for years. They're comfortable, haven't had any promotions. They still at Walmart working their part-time job. And if they're happy, they're happy. There's no judgment there. But you no longer identify with them because you're somebody who climbs and achieves and you're growing. And then you come back and you're trying to relate to somebody who hasn't had that same level of growth. They kind of just like clock in, clock out, same energy every day in, every day out. And you don't have much to relate to them about. You know, you're growing and you're managing big shit. They're not. They're trying to figure out what they're going to cook for dinner. You ordered dinner because you don't have time to cook. You know what I mean? And so you have to realize that you might have outgrown those people. And I don't want you to like feel bad about this. I want you to have discernment about this, because you are a combination of the top 5 people you hang around. That goes for income, how you speak, how you dress, how you talk, how you look, okay? You are a combination of the top 5 people you hang around. And if that person ain't really like emulating something that you want in your life, you need to kind of maybe hang out with them a little bit less. I'm not saying that you need to cut them off completely, but they're not in your top 5. They might be top 15, okay? You know? So I want you to think about that, Capricorn. Is this someone in my life who's adding value, and we're adding value to each other, and we both have similar visions for our lives? Or is this somebody who's kind of like keeping me stuck? Is this somebody I just kind of tap in just to keep pulse on the neighborhood just cause? You know what I mean? That is, and the reason why I'm saying you might have outgrown, because like I said, the Wheel of Fortune is about divine timing. Okay. And I just think that it's time for a change. It's time to move on from relationships from the past. It's time to identify and work with people that you relate to a bit more. Okay. All right, let's look at this discernment card, number 10. Here we go. All right, here's a summary. Take care in your choices now. Look carefully and judge wisely. There may have been something difficult to see, something that has been obscured, but now it has been revealed to you. Examine it closely. The affirmation is, I take my time to be accurate and precise in my discernment. If that's resonating with you, Capricorn, drop that in the comments below. When you get some years on you, hopefully the time you spend moving and choosing upon this earth brings you some kind of wisdom. Some of that wisdom will be bred of hindsight and perspective. All of us, if we are engaged in life, make good decisions and poor ones. Sometimes we make particularly bad ones. All of us get hurt others, learn, forget, fall over again, get up. But hopefully we grow, we change. We are able to spot where our sore points are and fix them if we so choose. We are able to take a good long look at what is painfully recurring in our lives and deal with it. Yes, baby, deal. The secret here is discernment, real discernment. Really making it a priority to take time to ensure acuteness of judgment, really looking at the fine print before you buy. Instead of taking things on face value or rushing into surface judgments, take your sweet time to form friendships and business relationships. Put your energy output into perspective, looking at evidence instead of only just believing. Feel and act when you are being trodden upon, or having your boundaries overstepped, or when something doesn't feel quite kosher either. Ask clarifying questions and really listen to the answers offered, then act on the reality. That is growth. That is real pattern busting. That is the gathering of wisdom. Note, waxing gibbous moons. This is the first of the waxing gibbous moons. The overall themes of this part of the moon cycle are action and will. That's just a message about the card itself, but that's not how we're using this. Okay. Companion stone is yellow jasper. I do have jasper. It is on my floor. I'm staring at it. It's not yellow jasper, but it's a jasper. I have the crystals. I can't show them to you because if you saw my setup right now, I'm a little locked in between my tripod, my light, my snack tray, my kit with all my cards. Like I'm a little locked in here. Okay, Capricorn, have discernment. You have some important decisions to make in your life. But use discernment, okay? I love you. I believe in you. And don't force yourself to make a decision before you are sure, okay? If you're still unsure, give yourself a little bit more time to think. I hope that's helpful for you, Capricorn. Watch your moon and your rising. I love you. I'll see you on the next one. Okay, Aquarius, here we go. Let's see. Okay, what cycle is closing or coming to completion for you, Aquarius? Okay, what obstacle do you need to work through this full moon, Aquarius? Okay, and what is the overall theme of this full moon for you? Overall theme of this full moon for you, Aquarius. Oop, I grabbed two. I meant to grab this one, but I'm going to see what that one is too. They're face down, which is why I'm like, okay, let's turn them over. Okay. The two cards that I grabbed are kind of similar. Okay, let's look. I'm going to show you the cards and then we're going to dig in, okay? So we have the Queen of Swords for, you know, what's coming to completion or culmination. Queen of Swords is air sign energy, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. She's very perceptive, very smart, very intelligent, okay? She's quick. She's quick and she's no bullshit. Obstacle to overcome is the Emperor. Okay, this could be a father figure. This could be the father of your children. This could be you as a father. This could be something to overcome in fatherhood. This could be an Aries, as the Emperor is connected to the zodiac sign of Aries. This is also about conquest, pushing through, being in charge, someone who is in a position of leadership. The card that I intended to grab is the Void for the overall theme of this full moon. And this is kind of like basically a message where you're kind of like in a holding pattern. And the card that was right behind it was surrender. But I do think the void is probably the right message for you. Okay, so let's look at the Queen of Swords in terms of like what exactly Spirit's trying to say, because I wonder if you're reaching some sort of pinnacle career-wise, professionally. Let me know if that's tracking for you. Clarify this for Aquarius, please, the Queen of Swords. Yeah, and that makes sense because the Nine of Pentacles just flipped out. So we have some sort of moment here for you professionally that is giving you abundance, independence, more than enough. Yeah, and maybe even just like growing somehow professionally where you're like really at the top of your game. Okay. I don't know that I have anything else to say beyond that. This could be connected to another air sign, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, but I really think this is professional for you. You're reaching some sort of professional. If you're an Aquarius rising, Capricorn, full moon in Capricorn is your 12th house. Yeah. So that would be dreams. I wonder if, you know, there's some sort of dream coming true for you, sort of. But I don't really think that's the vibe. I think there's something you've been working towards that finally feels like, okay, like it was worth it. And more importantly, you're being seen as an authority on a topic. You've worked your way to be positioned the way that you are right now, to be perceived the way that you are right now. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say beyond that. Like you're not really overly emotional right now. You're just like, yeah, I work for this. I deserve this. I'm here to enjoy this. All right, regarding the Emperor, let's take a look at that. What did I do with that deck? Clarify the obstacle to overcome, please, because that could be a lot of things, as I described. Aries, father, supervisor. What is this? Clarify the Emperor for Aquarius, please. Obstacle to overcome. Okay, we have the Two of Swords. We've got some sort of decision to make. Now, this could be, I don't know if you are the one who's in a position of leadership. You may have a very difficult decision to make, okay, that you need to address around this full moon. This might need to be a decision that you make about someone. Okay, what decision? What is this about for Aquarius? Marriage. All right, so you're going to need to decide if you want to stay in bed with somebody. Now, this could be like the marriage card is about relationships, yes, but it's also about contracts and business dealings. So this full moon, Aquarius, you're going to be asked, do I want to stay with this person? Do I like how they lead? Can I follow them? Can I trust their leadership and their guidance? Can I trust their fatherhood? You know what I mean? That's something that you are needing to work through this full moon. I do want to read the message about the void. Wow, I feel like out of all the readings, I feel like yours is like the most straightforward. I'm not gonna lie. All right, let's see. Let me see if I have anything else to say, because I don't want you to feel like I rushed your reading. You may have been proposed to and you don't know if you want to say yes. You might have found out somebody's about to propose to you and you're like, oh my God, do I want to stay with this person? Is this really who I see myself with? You know, because you're like, I'm doing just fine by my fucking self. Doing just fine. Do I want to be in partnership with this person? You know what I mean? You're like, do I want to fuck up a good thing, or would we actually be stronger together? There might be a message there. And again, that could be romantic and that could be professional, depending on what you're going through. Okay, let me see. Here's the summary. Let me show you this card again, because I know it's kind of dark. Okay. All right, your time to rest and reset is here. Release all that does not serve you. Stop resisting. The void is a time of possibility, not just darkness. There is nothing to fear in letting go of negative patterns and habits, so let go of the old. The affirmation is, I freely released what I no longer need. If that's resonating with you, Aquarius, drop that in the comments below. I'm sorry, I've been talking so long that the back of my throat feels like raw. So I'm just trying to get to Pisces, Lord. I'm just trying to get to Pisces. While the full moon, full attractive power, gets all the publicity, the dark moon, which offers the infinite possibilities of a clean slate, is just as powerful in its own way. The dark moon often looks like just a darker piece of the night sky, and in some cultures, in the way it appears, harkens back to the idea of the void. It is a place of unknowable secrets, a state of everything and nothing, or a place to prepare or rest before moving on. To me personally, there is a relieving, restful quality about the darkest moon that allows pondering and decisions about what we can jettison before making fresh plans for the new moon, which is the next day. If you find yourself resisting the dark moon, it is usually a clear sign that you are being stubborn about letting go of something that is old and not serving you in a positive way any longer. Often that is a fear or pattern that was created to protect you in some way. However, now it is outdated, yet you are still carrying it or acting it out. Know that this moon is powerful, but it is also incredibly gentle in the way it helps you unravel what actually is so you can embrace the fresh start of tomorrow. Relax, reframe, and think about how much better your life will be without that bad habit, fear, or pattern. Get very clear about the possibilities of this transformation and what it will give you in real terms. This is the power of the dark moon, is the optimum time in the cycle to release the old and cut the cords of relationships and traumas that deserve no time and attention in your present. That's real. Let me go, hold on. What was number one? Let me just go back to it. Hold on 1 second. Let me just really stop resisting. Clear sign. If you're resisting, it's a sign that you're being stubborn of letting go of something that's not serving you anymore. You're going to have to sit with that, Aquarius. You're going to have to sit with, is this still serving me? And I think that's a really hard question to ask if you are married, because, you know, I'm not married, but I would imagine there's multiple instances, just having been in relationships before, where there's seasons where you don't feel like you're being served, but you're serving the other, and that's partnership, right? Of like, it's not all about you in this season. Maybe, you know, there's times where you're supporting the other person, or vice versa, they're supporting you, and it's not always 50-50. I think, you know, that fluctuates. But I think you might need to ask yourself some bigger questions of, are we still aligned? Do we still want the same future? You know, are we compatible still? You know, I think you might need to be asking yourself those bigger questions. And again, kind of like she said, if I didn't have this person tomorrow, is my life better or no? Like, really ask yourself that question. Is my life better without them or with them? Ask yourself that question. I hope this was helpful. The surrender card is like kind of really on that same vein, letting go and let God, kind of like give it over to God because you can't figure it out. Let God handle it and work it out. You might need to do a little bit of surrendering. You might need to ask Spirit to intervene or give you a message or give you a sign that helps you make your decision very clear, because clearly there's some decision that needs to be made. I hope that's helpful, Aquarius. I love you so much. I'm proud of you for whatever accomplishments you may have recently achieved. Let me know what those are below so I can celebrate you. Watch for your moon and your rising, and I'm going to move on to Pisces. Bye. Hi, Pisces. Last but not least. Okay, let's see what your message is. This has taken me longer than I expected it to, honestly. But I did take a little break after Leo. I don't know exactly. I'm gonna look and see exactly what time I started. But I know I've been giving these readings thought. I haven't been rushing these, so it's okay as long as that comes through. Okay, Six of Cups is coming out. I don't know if any of you guys are due for an apology or need to receive an apology or reconcile with anybody. Okay, let's see. Let's get into this. What cycle is closing for Pisces, please, under this full moon in Capricorn? All right. And what obstacle does Pisces need to work on this full moon in Capricorn? Okay, and overall theme of this full moon in Capricorn for Pisces, please. Let's turn it over. All right. Everybody's getting the surrender card today. Like this, you're like the third sign to have gotten surrender. All right. So there's a lot of releasing that needs to happen. All right. Who had this? Did Gemini have this? Cancer had this. Cancer had this card. 7 of Swords in the position of what cycle is closing or coming to completion. The 7 of Swords is representative of a few things. It can represent deception, evasiveness, running away, avoidance. Whether or not this is related to you doing the avoiding or someone avoiding you, that varies. This could be maybe like you're denying something to yourself or someone's denying something to you. It's definitely about mistrust and deception. But in its most positive interpretation, it is about strategy, okay? Strategizing to get ahead. The obstacle you need to overcome is the 9 of Pentacles, which is abundance and luxury, and maybe even a desire or a need for independence. And your overall theme is surrender, okay? Let go and let God, okay? All right, you know what? I dig deeper in the 7 of Swords with Cancer if you want to go there, if you want to, you know, speed over to Cancer, but I'm actually going to first get a clarification so I know exactly how to interpret this for you, Pisces. Clarify the 7 of Swords for Pisces, please, for this full moon. 7 of Swords. Okay, the Lovers just fell out, and also something fell out reversed, the 4 of Cups reversed. I don't use reversals in this deck, so when it comes out reversed, I pay attention. The Lovers is Gemini energy, but also partnerships and unions and contracts. The 4 of Cups is about kind of like, you know, kind of yearning, like what else is out there? Like the grass is always greener on the other side. When it's reversed, you're starting to finally see the glass half full. You're like, okay, I can see how things are getting better. Now, this is to clarify the 7 of Swords, okay? I have 2 things for you, or 2 ways I'm looking at this. This could either be, Pisces, that you were running away from someone because you weren't sure it was what you really wanted, or someone was kind of running away from you because they weren't sure you were what they wanted. I think that's like a major problem in like the dating world these days, right? Because of the swipe culture, it's so easy to find another. You're like, oh, whatever. I don't like the way this person smiles. Next. And I think that's what maybe you and your person are having to work through right now. Maybe someone else's flaws or maybe your flaws are being highlighted a little bit more than usual. So somebody's been avoiding you or vice versa. This would be the full moon where you address it, where someone's no longer running away. I'm going to grab a love oracle message for you, Pisces, just in case, because I want to make sure that Spirit's not calling you to be single. I don't want to steer you wrong, Pisces, okay? Okay, and something fell out. What fell out? Wedding. Okay, babe. This situation involves marriage. Okay, you know what? I kind of feel like this is a season, Pisces, that maybe like, you know, that maybe you and your person are struggling if you're in a committed relationship. If you're completely single, this could be that you've been avoiding getting into the dating street. Maybe you've been avoiding dating somebody you know is interested in you. There's some avoidance here around your love life. And the wedding card, I'm not going to read the oracle message, but it represents a couple things. Like either you're involved with somebody who's married or whatever. I hope not, but potentially. But this is also a message that comes up when there's a confirmation that you will be married, if that's what you want. And this is also a message that you could potentially meet someone at a wedding. Okay, those are the three messages of that card. But I wonder, Pisces, if right now the obstacle, the Nine of Pentacles, is because maybe you're not ready for commitment. Or maybe you want to be, but you're struggling with what that might mean to losing your independence and identity, because that's what the Seven of Pentacles is about. And you may be struggling, depending on like where you are in life. You may be like, well, how do I maintain my identity within my partnership? You know, that might be something you're wrestling with. I can tell you for sure that you're not going to solve it by running away. You're not going to solve it by running away, either of you. And if you are a bad bitch, you know, taking over the world one day at a time, but you want partnership, you have to create room in your life for that. If you want partnership, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to make time to FaceTime date and go on dates and quality time and, you know, do the things. Most people, most high achieving people, and I assume that you are if you're watching this channel, you're like going 10 on 10 all the time. But if you want partnership, you're going to have to like rearrange your life a little bit, to make space for someone else. If that's what you want, that's just a fact. I heard Whit say a lot of times high achieving women, they make their jobs their boyfriends. And that's true, because you don't have, like, you have the time. So you just keep work. But eventually you got to make time for them. Let's read this surrender card. Oh man, I'm reading this card all day. Oh, here it is. Okay. Surrender. And I will say this before I read the message, in terms of this being the theme of your reading. The surrender card, to me, as a reader, as your trusted psychic, virtually, I am seeing this as stop putting up walls and trust this relationship. Personally, if I felt like the message was like, move on, let it go, I wouldn't interpret that as surrender. I think you're trying to protect yourself for whatever reason, which, you know, might be your own work to work through. Like, I'm not judging that. But I think you can, like, stop fighting against this. And you may have been telling yourself, well, they're this and they're that, and it's just not going to work, because in your mind, you're trying to protect yourself from being hurt again. You got to just let it go. Relationships are hard and unpredictable, and it's just going to be messy. You're going to get hurt, period. And not to say because the relationship's going to end, but just because relationships suck and people suck. We have sucky moments. Like, none of us are perfect all the time. So you got to just have to let that go. Like, at some point, you will be hurt even in a healthy relationship. You see what I'm saying? Because we all have our own trauma. We all have our own baggage that we just bring into relationships. The key is communication. All right, let me, I don't want to get in my soapbox, okay? Let me stop myself while I'm ahead. Okay, here we go, 26. Here we go. Summary. Surrendering doesn't mean giving up. Let go of what you no longer need. Stop being so stubborn about holding on to aspects and behaviors that don't align with who you are now. Stop struggling. The affirmation is, I let go, I surrender my struggle, I allow the universe to work through me. If that resonates with you, Pisces, drop that in the comments below. It took me a long time to realize that surrendering was a positive thing. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't mean the giving up kind of surrender. I mean the, okay, it's time for me to hand this over type of surrender. For those of us who are highly independent and used to doing things quite ably on our own, admitting we need assistance or that we might indeed have to let something go for our betterment can be challenging. Letting go and surrendering admits or exposes a vulnerability or two. To surrender, we may need to show our underbelly. We may need to admit we got it wrong, made a mistake, grew a bad habit, surrounded ourselves with people that are not good for us. It can make us feel raw in our realization. Remember, this moon phase is dark and beautiful. It casts a protective shadow that allows us to be as wide open as we need to be to do our work. We reveal safely to only the divine and ourselves. And then the light returns. The companion stone is calcite, orange calcite. My gut feeling, Pisces, is let go and let this relationship in. Stop trying to protect yourself against it and fear that you'll lose your independence in this relationship. You're only going to lose your independence if you allow yourself to lose your independence. You know what I mean? And maybe, you know, you and your partner are working through a difficult period where maybe the trust was on shaky ground, and maybe you're rebuilding trust back to each other, right? With the Seven of Swords here. What did it say? Release. Hold on, let me go back. Surrendering doesn't mean giving up. Stop holding on to aspects that don't align with who you are now. And that's the other thing too. Let's say you're a newlywed and, you know, you still out here trying to like be at the clubs, but you're also trying to like plan for a baby. It's like at some point you got to choose an identity, babe. We got to choose an identity. You know, you going out drinking every weekend or every night while you're trying to conceive maybe isn't the best approach. And at some point when you are pregnant, guess what, bitch? You're not going to be, I mean, you could go out with your friends, but you're going to be the DD. And you might not have as much fun. And you might get tired of being in environments where you're pregnant and big and still trying to like take pictures with the girls. Girl, I just feel like you're trying to hold on to an identity that no longer aligns with you, but it's affecting your partnership in some way or affecting the partnership you want to have. You might need to make some lifestyle changes here. I hope that's helpful, Pisces. I really do. Let me know in the comments below, because I feel like what I'm feeling from this reading is a little bit different than what the cards are saying, but I'm just intuiting, okay? So let me know if that's tracking, all right? And of course, you guys are always welcome to look up these cards for yourself if you want to dig into the Lovers more, the Four of Cups more, Seven of Swords, Nine of Pentacles, if you want to dig into those messages and meditate on them for yourself, okay? Watch for your moon and your rising. I love you so much. Have a great full moon. I'll see you on the next one.